Okay, good evening. My name is Christina. Today I'm going to be talking about the organization Our Bodies Ourselves. I'm part of the cohort 2021-2023 of Southwest Tech in Wisconsin. This is my first year. So tonight we're going to learn about their mission, discover who their board of directors is. We're going to explore the history of Our Bodies Ourselves in a timeline view, as well as review the organization's history, sorry, and their relation of out of hospital births with CPMs. We're going to see how we can become involved with Our Bodies Ourselves, as well as review our references. So let's get started. The mission of Our Bodies Ourselves. Our Bodies Ourselves is known as the Boston Women's Health Book Collective, as best known for the landmark book Our Bodies Ourselves, which empowers women with information about health, sexuality, and reproduction. We work in and build bridges among social justice movements. I'm going to share with you the board of directors: Judy, Marija, Alexandra, Aziza, Diana, and Nancy. Starting with Judy. Um, Judy is the co-founder of is one of the co-founders of Our Bodies Ourselves. In the first slide, we saw a bunch of women from the 70s. She was part of that group. She's an author and editor of each of the 9 editions of Our Bodies Ourselves, an internationally renowned speaker and author on a range of women's health concerns. Her areas of focus include women and health care reform, abortion and contraception, childbirth, especially the role of midwifery, that would be us, genetics and reproductive technologies, and drug and device safety. Marija is a public health researcher and an MD candidate at Tufts University School of Medicine. She partook at the Madeleine Albright Institute of Global Affairs and conducted research at the Wellesley Centers for Women. She completed a public health degree focusing on international health systems and maternal and child health at Johns Hopkins University, Bloomberg School of Public Health. As you can see, this is something I wanted to make a note of. We see a big diversity here within the board of directors. I find that very endearing and very powerful for Our Bodies Ourselves. Next up will be Alexandra. Alexandra Spadola is an obstetrician and gynecologist who specializes in the care of women with complicated pregnancies. She was an associate professor at SUNY Upstate Medical University in Syracuse, New York, where she practiced high-risk obstetrics as the regional director of the Central New York Perinatal Program. Throughout her career, she has worked on developing conversations between disciplines in promoting patient safety initiatives and disseminating best practices over complex health networks. Alex has attended over 3,000 births and partnered with many women in making decisions in illness and in health. She's an advocate for justice and transparency in medicine and has had the great pleasure to work with many wonderful colleagues in midwifery, nursing, and public health. Kudos to Alex. Aziza Ahmed is an internationally renowned expert in health law. This would be Aziza. In health law, criminal law, and human rights. I think it's excellent that they have someone that's an advocate um, within the law in this organization. Next up is Diana. Diana is a registered nurse with 7 years of experience in public health and community outreach. She is currently a family nurse practitioner student at Simmons University, working towards her Master's of Science in Nursing. In 2018, she was nominated for National Black Nurses Student of the Year and is an Health Resources and Services Administration Nurse Corps Scholarship recipient. Last but not least, Nancy. She would be down here. So Nancy is a founding member as well as Judy and has a contagious and inspiring commitment to living life fully. So let's talk a little bit more about Our Bodies Ourselves. Our Bodies Ourselves began in May of 1969 with the Female Liberation Conference at Emmanuel College workshop on women and their bodies. The experiences they shared with doctors and their frustration at how little they knew about their bodies worked out this provocative workshop. A group of formed the doc. This group formed the Doctors Group that became the precursor of Boston's Women's Health Book Collective. Here we can see a picture from 1984 and the authors of the book. In the 1970s, the New England Free Press published a 193-page course book. This book talked about sexuality, abortion, birth control, amongst other taboo topics. The cost of this book at that time was of 75 cents. In 1971, Our Bodies Ourselves becomes official. They make light on women's full ownership about their bodies, and this book sold over 225,000 copies throughout word of mouth, and the cost at the time was of 30 cents. Making it, if you look at it from 75, they went down to 30 cents just to make it readily available to anybody that wanted to purchase it. In 1972, the founding authors incorporated as Boston's Women's Health Book Collective, and in 73, the first commercial edition of Our Bodies Ourselves was published. This also began contracts to be negotiated with Simmons and Schuster to include 70% clinic discount for low-income women and Spanish translation. This same year, Christopher Lehman helped reviewed the book for the New York Times. How awesome. In 1974, publishers and women's group in other countries began to translate and adapting the book of Our Bodies Ourselves into the language of the country. Our Bodies Ourselves, currently 40 years in the making, updates every 4 to 7 years, with its most recent publishing in 2011. Times Magazine also recognized Our Bodies Ourselves as one of the best 100 nonfiction books in this same year, 2011. In 2012, Library of Congress included the book in the exhibit of books that shaped America, a collection of 88 nonfiction and fiction titles intended to spark a national conversation on books written by Americans that have influenced our life. I would say definitely Our Bodies Ourselves, Nuestros Cuerpos, Nuestras Vidas has impacted our lives. April of 2019, Our Bodies Ourselves transitioned into a 501c3, which this would be a nonprofit organization. In 2018, also, they scaled back the core work to 2 primary activities: advocating for women's health and social justice, as well as providing limited technical support to Our Bodies Ourselves global partners. This began a partnership with Suffolk's University Center for Women's Health and Human Rights. The center is developing Our Bodies Ourselves Today, which we will talk to about more in a little bit. A new platform that will feature updated and inclusive information about women's health and sexuality. The site is expected to launch this year, 2021. It's really neat. I'll show you in a bit. So global network partners and projects with Our Bodies Ourselves. I found this to be very, very cool. As of September of 2020, resources based on Our Bodies Ourselves has been developed in 33 different languages. Here we can see a map of the world and a list of all the countries that they're partnering with. Here is a little quote from the website. Over the years, Our Bodies Ourselves has been translated and adapted into many different languages. As far back as 1974, as we spoke about earlier, publishers and women's organizations in Europe sought to use it as a resource for their countries, resulting in 8 different translations across Europe. Our Bodies Ourselves and the midwifery model of care. It has long supported a midwifery model of care as a way of encouraging adherence to evidence-based care that improves the health outcome of both mothers and babies. The midwifery model of care assumes that most pregnancies, labors, and births are normal biological processes and not something damning like it's seen nowadays. This differs from a strict medical model of care that reviews pregnancy, labor, and birth as a risky act and that must be managed with high-tech procedures and interventions even when the pregnancy is low risk. The focus, therefore, is on maximizing the health and wellness of women and her baby, identifying and managing medical problems early on, as well as attending to the emotional, social, and spiritual aspects of pregnancy and birth. They've also built medical and political support for the licensing and regulation of certified professional midwives, that would be us, especially in Massachusetts, where both House and Senate bills have been proposed. They've also encouraged support for an act relative of out-of-hospital birth access and safety, which could require all midwives practicing out-of-hospital settings to be accredited and certified professional midwives according to the newly established educational standards. The bill establishes a special committee of midwives under the Department of Public Health with the majority of midwives to determine practice guidelines and include a bridge certificate of current direct entry midwives who need to upgrade their present status. This bill provides transparency and accountability for consumers seeking out-of-hospital midwifery care, ensure that midwives practicing healthcare in the Commonwealth meet national professional standards of training and practice, promote patient safety by licensing midwives to carry and administer life-saving medications, encourage integration of care between midwives and doctors when needed. I find this to be one of the highlights of the bill because right now, for example, in Puerto Rico, this is something that it's just not done at all. Encourage integration of care between midwives and doctors when needed. This would also be a plus. Expand opportunities of third-party reimbursement so that CPM can be made available to low-income women who are now denied this process. How can we become involved with Our Bodies Ourselves today? So when you go to the website, you can push to donate. You can also share their social media blog posts on their website, as well as Instagram and Facebook. Our Bodies Ourselves today, which is what we were talking about earlier, is building a world-class online platform to provide all kinds of women and girls, trans men, and non-binary folks with the most up-to-date, trustworthy, and inclusive information about health, sexuality, and well-being. As I mentioned before, they plan to launch in 2021. The core content area, as mentioned here, childbirth, heart health, which is very important, menarche to menopause, sexuality, abortion, and contraception, gender-based violence, mental health, and age. When I was looking through the website, I'd also noticed that even though they are a non-for-profit, you can look more into the Suffolk University website about their jobs availability. Right now, they're looking for a program director for the Our Bodies Ourselves today. So here I show you a picture of them then and now, and a very significant quote that stood out to me. Here we see the original founders that meet at a women's Collaboration Conference in 1969, and then Together Again. Um, I think this was 2010. And the quote states, "This is how movements get started. There's little conversation here and another in another community, and people get connected somehow. It almost happened spontaneously as different people find themselves asking, what is going on here? And start thinking new things. The time was right for them to be talking about how women are being treated. Out of the conversations in the spring of 1969, the first women's conference at Emmanuel College was set up. For the contribution, put together a workshop entitled Control of Our Bodies. The room was packed, and people wanted to continue talking after the workshop was over. Still, almost 50, 60 plus years, we're talking about this. And we're pushing forward and we're pushing for women's right to be respected, developed, and for women to become empowered, not only about their births, but also about their choices within their bodies and their lives. And here's a list of my references. Thank you.